Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to another edition of APAC Dialogue. We have with us as our guest today Dr. Raj Singh, Vice Chancellor of Jain University. Welcome to Dr. Singh to the show.
Thank you,
And we will
Rajni.
hear from him on different ways how technology is being used in Jain University, what are the progress on the educational front leveraging technology that has been made in the university. Before we start, just a brief introduction about APAC News Network. We are a media organization headquartered out of Noida with a pan India presence, and we basically are a community building and community connecting media organization. We connect different communities about technology deployments, and obviously, education is one of them. Besides education, governance, healthcare, BFSI, manufacturing, startups, or other sectors where we cover the technology deployment. Without further ado, let us get into today's interaction. And I will start with you first, Dr. Raj. If you can take us through what all new technologies, new age technologies, if I may say, have been deployed recently in the last couple of years at Jain University, and briefly, what are their use cases? If you can let our viewers know.
Uh, I'll answer in two ways. One, of course, what are we dealing as a university in terms of programs being offered and thereby creating those kind of facility through labs or the technologies for the students. We have two schools which offer technology-related programs. One we call as School of Computer Science and Engineering, which offers traditional programs like MCA, BCA, BSc, MSc kind of programs. And then on the other hand, we have School of Computer Science Engineering, which offers all the technologies, particularly Industry 4.0 technology, whether it's cloud computing or, for that matter, AI, ML, cyber security, all the Industry 4.0, maybe 9 or 10 technology, and their combinations, of course. And therefore, we have all the related labs and facilities related to those kind of things. In fact, MCA program we not only offer in regular mode, we also offer in online mode. We are a dual mode university where in last almost 3 years, we'll be completing in March when we got the permission to start online programs. Our enrollments have already crossed about 60,000. This is in addition to total about 25,000 students, out of which engineering students alone are about 3,000. In that, computer science mainly, other about 1,500 are above 3,000. And then MCA, BCA taken together, another 2,000 students we have. Now, it doesn't stop there. We also offer these courses as open electives to students of any other program. They can take it as a micro-credential or a minor specialization. So it's offered across the university. As far as use of these technologies in management or administration of the university is concerned, for example, we heavily use artificial intelligence in our examination system, wherein we have already mapped each question in the question bank with the course outcomes. And at the click of the button, we can prepare a question paper which is aligned with the outcomes. We've also been using this in our LMS, whether it's third party or our own LMS, which is a part of the ERP, wherein students are able to get the videos and topics and the assessment questions of the required difficulty level depending on their performance. For example, we are using LinkedIn videos, LinkedIn Learning as a platform, wherein we have integrated the videos interspersed throughout the course. And as you're aware, we are permitted to use up to 40% online inputs to the students of even regular education. So I'll give an example. In one of the courses, we prescribed about 8 videos in a 45 session course. And you'll be surprised to know the number of videos watched by the students was 51 on average. And how this happened, because in learning platforms like this, the AI based tools will lead to a pop up once you're about to finish a video, and the suggestions come in that you may like to watch this kind of video. And we overcame a great difficulty of reading habits of the students, which is declining. I'm just giving you these couple of examples how artificial intelligence has been helpful. Also, we have been using the generative AI kind of techniques. We have permitted our faculty members, we have trained them. So, for example, the initial notes could be generated through generative AI, and then it could be improved upon depending on the target audience, so that we don't use the notes generated by AI, but as a preparatory kind of thing. First step could be done through generative AI, wherein a lot of time of the faculty members can be saved. We are now thinking of even the assessment of subjective answers, or the essay type of questions, as you call them, or case study analysis answers, also to be evaluated online. Simplest way, of course, is that you upload the script there and you evaluate and put the marks there. But I think some kind of heuristic methods we're developing on keywords, which could be as part of the text written by the students, and based on that, it's at a testing stage, but I'm sure we'll be able to find solutions where we can move towards paperless kind of administration. There are some of the ways in which we are using it, and for that, naturally, we use clouds. We are a dual cloud kind of university, where online and offline we have kept separate, because just the sheer volume we are handling. As I told you, about 25,000 full-time students and about 60,000 online and ODL. We have all the three modes going on. Without technology, we just can't administer such a large university. Yeah.
I'll take one by one areas from here. First, when you mentioned about the LMS
Yeah.
and the modifications that were done in the LMS, both using generative AI and some sort of analytics on that, those changes in the LMS and accordingly the impact of the curriculum, how are they sort of synchronized with the provisions of the NEP now? That is one.
Well, national education policy is the framework which is driving all our initiatives as on today. As you know that it is mandatory now. Even though we were early starters, we implemented NEP almost 50% in 2021, and last year 2023 we have completely implemented national education policy, including the membership of academic bank of credits. We are now in the process of offering multiple entry exit system, which adds to the complexity of the administration of the programs. But one common thing which you have taken up for last 2 years is to instruction design of courses which is aligned to national education policy in a learning outcome based curriculum framework. So, for example, the LMS available normally, provided by the third party vendors of ERPs or independent LMS kind of things, is slightly over, Moodle's kind of things which you can otherwise use in open source kind of resources available there. So we're doing two things. One, we have an in-house ERP which is there for last 1.5 decades. We have mastered the art of adding modules and developing them to the specific requirement. This eventually will be handling our online programs. We have started a project with Kindle, wherein we are developing an advanced level of ERP where LMS will be designed specific to our needs. Instruction design stage we have already crossed, very state of the art instruction design, which is now being digitized. And then with AI tools, mapping of, let's say, course outcome to program outcome to the program educational objectives and mission will be relatively easy, and will be able to more accurately measure the attainment of program outcomes. And it doesn't stop there. In fact, it's just the procedural issue. The real orientation towards national education policy, which focuses on developing students more entrepreneurially and focus on innovation and research, kind of activity will happen once we perform the gap analysis. And that's where advanced analytics will play a role. So I'll give a few examples. If I have not achieved certain program outcomes, I really go back and sit on the dashboard and think what went wrong. Were we wrong at the planning stage or the execution stage, or perhaps something was faulty in my assessment? Suppose I assess them at a higher level than what I had targeted, the outcomes will be underachieved. So it tells me to really work backwards and see where went wrong. And suppose we achieved it, it tells me to upgrade my targets for the next batch, and then keep on doing this. And we went beyond this. In fact, what we have been talking about, that the gap between program outcome, which is at the end of the program, and program educational objectives, which are basically related to career a student has 3 to 4 5 years after graduation, we track all that. And how they perform in the career depends on so many factors. One, how we delivered the program. Second, what kind of organization they got into. Have they taken some advanced level degrees or courses after they graduated, some skill courses? What kind of learning trajectory they have been on? And that's the result of where they get into. Some of them may get into teaching itself as a profession, and what kind of industry they get into. And that has helped us to identify that as a university, what kind of continuing education programs we can develop for our alumni after they graduate to what they want to reach. This has normally been an area in Indian education system which has not been attended to. You would be aware, I'm sure, there are universities across the globe where the enrollment number of a student is now valid up to 20 years. National University of Singapore is one such example, and I know of some universities in the US, Boston area, wherein they not only take responsibility of delivering the program as per outcomes, but they take responsibility of continuous upgradation and upskilling of the students after they graduate, so that they're able to meet the program educational objectives that have been aimed to. So it starts with instruction design, which is a backward kind of process. You start with vision, mission in the mind and work backwards at the program level and the course level, and including the assessment. And the program delivery and assessment is a feed forward manner. So I think we have mastered the art of this, and all along all the stages of this instruction design, which is in a backward fashion, and the delivery of program in a feed forward manner, technology has a crucial role to play, LMS being one of them. The LMS should also be able to integrate third-party content within the limits permissible. The other thing we have done is that purely from faculty development point of view, we have started in-house MOOC development, wherein the existing MOOCs may not fit into the criteria, including the four-quadrant approach proposed by the UGC for online programs. I think we are developing our own MOOCs, which cater to the need of the students and complete all the four-quadrant, wherein it's not only teaching, learning, but group engagement, assessment, advance, and then, of course, application orientation is taken care of. Definitely, the technologies available as on today have helped us improve the quality of education through online mode. Going forward, we are looking at augmented reality, virtual reality kind of technologies to be used to give them hands-on experience, even on the labs not available with us. Maybe our collaborator universities and organizations have those facilities, and we can use that sitting in our campuses. And they will definitely help us move forward. The second thing we've done is we have collaborated with industry partners, wherein they have established the labs completely funded by the industry, maybe as CSR or some kind of skill development projects they have in mind to train manpower specific to their own needs. For example, Toyota as a company has set up a lab for our mechanical engineering and automobile engineering students. We have a Miles Education, which has set up labs for us for the specializations under computer science engineering programs, and therefore developed an immersive model of learning, wherein half of the students learn in the classes and half of the day they work on real projects which this company brings in, and the company office is there on the campus. It doesn't work when the company office somewhere else and you're sitting in the campus. You end up teaching more and more like traditional way of teaching. So we have restricted ourselves that 4.5 hours classes will be there, and 4.5 hours will be students working on actual projects which are sought by these companies from their normal clients, for which they get paid for. So it's a complete real life environment within its work. Apart from the fact that, of course, they'll be able to earn, if not fully, at least part of the fees they spend. And by the time they graduate, they would carry some experience with them. So, in sum total, I would say all technology related programs we have switched over to immersive model. The administration of the university, particularly in terms of LMS and the advanced ERP, um, all the tools, including AI, are being used. Even in the new one, which we are developing in collaboration with Kyndryl, is going to be absolutely state of the art ERP system, including LMS. The another area which is, I think, completely technology based is that accreditation has become now mandatory. And you know that accreditation requires high-end technologies to not only record all the information, but to keep on classifying in appropriate formats and then linking it to the outcomes which accreditation bodies measure. You would be aware that the next revision which is coming in NAC accreditation will focus on four things. What input goes into the process? Second is the process followed in terms of teaching learning processes. Third one will be the outcomes achieved. And the fourth one, which is going to be the first time, how much impact it creates. So, input, process, outcome, and impact. All this requires an automated system wherein you can track from the input to impact based on the criteria defined, and high end technologies will be required for that. And we are prepared for this. All this is required by NEP. And so, in answering one line, that we have taken care of this through appropriate instruction design, which is aligned with the technologies available to us.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very extensive. Couple of areas I would like to, I'll come on to the labs later. First, when you talked about the entire process in the continuing education, and you gave some examples which you want to emulate here also, in terms of upskilling a person who has moved out of the university. But in the Indian condition and tracking an alumnus of the university, even leveraging technology will be a challenge. So, what has been the success of this program till date, and how have you been meeting the challenge?
I agree with you. Managing alumni and engaging them meaningfully has always been a challenge in an Indian context, not only for our university, but I think across the board. Barring few institutions where alumni numbers are not too large, they've been able to focus on this right from the beginning. In our case, out of about 2.5 lakh alumni we already have updated record of over 2 lakhs. And I must thank, when we collaborated with LinkedIn Learning, they help us identify all the Jain alumni who are members of LinkedIn. And they help us by sending messages and trying to get data updated. It really improved in last 1.5 years we've been working with them. Second thing, we have also started almost monthly outreach with all the stakeholders, including alumni. So, for example, you must have heard about PTM in schools, and some universities also keep on PTM in UG programs, but we have changed the format of this. We call it parent interaction. We call parents of alumni as well as existing students, and we listen to them, that how their expectations have been met. We keep on calling industry people, not only the functional specialization people, but also CHROs. And we hear from them. For example, if some company has been recruiting from us for last 5, 6, 7 years, they are the ones who can give real feedback where they find our students good and where they don't find us good. LinkedIn analytics tells us the skill set required by all the 38 industry sectors in real time. So, for example, they will tell me today what was required yesterday by the corporates. So, all the 38 industry sectors, we have somewhere you have 40 skills in order of priority, somewhere 50 skills, somewhere 20 skills. And we continuously map our curriculum of all the courses with the skill set required. I think one of the interactions I had told you that in February 2021, when we undertook this exercise, we sat down and mapped topic by topic with the skill set required to see whether we are addressing the industry need or not. You'll be surprised to know that we found gaps minimum of 3% and maximum of 40% in some programs. And the next 2 3 months, we sat down to plug those gaps. And now, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, we are seeing the impact of that. This is in addition to our own inventory of expectations from the corporates we prepare. We have large number of recruiters who come and recruit year after year, including all the big fours and IT leaders. We have a system of taking feedback from them and constantly keep on upgrading. We have programs because of this, wherein uh, you would be surprised to know I had 43 students in one of the programs. They all were taken by Big Fours. And they said, if you have more, please give it to us. And what we've done to do this, industry recognized or accredited programs we have made part of our degree programs. So, for example, a CPA is a part of BCom honors program. Now, normally the big fours will recruit BCom honors and sponsor them to perform, complete CPA. They are getting ready CPAs from us at the end of 3 years or 4 years. Now, these kind of things has really, really helped us. And in that, when we reached out to alumni, offline as well as online, I think the Indian system is responding to the changes. It's not only upskilling requirement, but also reskilling the way things are changing. And we've been getting requests from alumni that how university can help us. And believe me, we're able to offer it almost free to our alumni as a social responsibility. That's the beauty of online modules. We have already developed the modules. You can offer them as a degree program, you can offer them as diploma program, certificate, or even micro credential. The other thing which has happened in the environment is that even if you take one credit course, it goes into your academic bank of credit account. And suppose over next 3 4 5 years you keep on earning such micro credentials and you build enough credits at appropriate levels, you can claim a certification. So you require for 1 year certificate program you require 40 credit units and so on. For a degree of 3 years you require 120, degree of 4 years you require 160. And you'll be surprised to know that even the skill development organizations, both high-end and basic vocational level skills, they're collaborating with us because the training programs offered by them get accredited through ABC. Now, these environmental changes are really facilitating both awareness as well as the utility of these micro credentials, which we can offer to alumni. And it's growing up. The speed perhaps could have been much more, is less than what I had desired. But let's say management and engineering and computer applications are the three areas where demand for such courses is huge. And we have developed these micro credentials, and students are taking it, in fact. The other thing we've been able to do, apart from alumni, if you look at all these stakeholders, we've been able to reach out to armed forces. Army, Air Force have approached us. For example, they have their in-house training programs, which they continually conduct to upgrade the skills of the people. And what they've done, they will enroll the students in appropriate online degrees, and their training program will form a minor specialization in the whole degree. So this have dual objective. They, in any case, have to develop the skills. The employees will be able to complete degrees, and therefore helps them retain those employees and also make them upgrade. So, post-retirement, they have a better career option than what they would have without such kind of qualifications. I, being from Defense Force, I can understand how useful this kind of facility is. And believe me, we are able to offer at abysmally low prices. We don't even tell them, or we don't even negotiate with them, and we tell them what you can afford. Please let us know what fees will be suitable to you. And therefore, it's helping us also to undertake this CSR kind of activities and make our contribution to armed forces of the country. Like this, I can go on the kind of example. We have reached out to African countries, for example, 10, 15 of them. And we are talking to the governments where there's a huge requirement of reskilling, upskilling of the people, including public servants. The kind of amenities and governance services they deliver to them, they're not trained. Without any offense, I would say in skill development and the efficiency, they may be 10, 15, 20 years behind us as a country. India has really, really made progress in technology-enabled, public amenity delivery. And there's a huge scope with these governments to undertake programs. I would expect in next 1 to 2 years, We may have 100,000 plus people enrolling for degrees and micro credentials in different areas for which we have the wherewithal. The high end technology will help us deliver these programs more effectively than what they're possible today.
Thanks, thanks. So one part here, very interesting to know about the reskilling program through the alumni and how. One thing I like to understand is about these labs, which with the industry, collaboration with the industry are set up at the campus. What we have seen, and you also mentioned that in many cases these labs are part of their CSR programs. What is the fundamental difference with some of the Ivy League universities that we see is in many cases there the industries uh, in often they have a one these labs themselves are commercial entities and much of the work that is done there is linked to their commercial program. So what that necessitates is the students who undertake those industrial training are very properly get industry ready by the time they pass out. Unlike here, where even these labs, since they are more part of CSR activities, where much of the student thing is more as a part of a completing the process rather than getting the real hands-on industry skills. So, how do you address this dichotomy?
Very interesting question, Rajneeshji. Today in India, if you look at the industry sponsored research funding, roughly 60 to 70% comes from government sources. Only about 30 to 40% comes from industry, private industry, I would say. And the basic reason for this is that these private agencies who need R&D from the research organizations or universities do not have that comfort which normally should be there or which is there in the Western world. I agree with you that in the Western world, the universities don't get funding only through CSR. It is with very objective, outcome oriented projects funded by the industry. And therefore, the stake of industry as well as university becomes almost equal. There are high stakes there, and therefore the seriousness from both sides is extremely high. Having said this, I must also confess that things are changing in India now. It depends on what kind of research the universities are undertaking. In one of the interactions, some of my colleagues asked me that when I go to industry, they're not very much willing to give us the funding for research. And I asked them that why should they give you? Any university which can attract funding from the industry requires innovations, which is reflected by the number of patents you have filed, the number of quality papers you have published, which are cited by researchers all across the world. Citation indicates the quality to you. When you go to industry with this kind of credentials and some kind of track record, they're more than willing to fund the projects with the university. For example, we have a very unique center, Fire and Combustion Research Center, and the second one is Center for Nanomaterial and Sciences. These two are counted among the leading centers of research, not only in the region but in the country. Fire Combustion Research Center is one of its kind in whole of Asia. It's a real example of Atmanirbhar Bharat mission launched by Honorable Prime Minister in 2020, wherein we are able to provide services, both testing as well as training and R&D improvement for, let's say, all the pump manufacturers, fire equipment manufacturers, and train their employees and partners in our center. Among the clients, we have organizations like Bhabha Atomic Research Center. What services they used to get from Germany and US, let's say at rupees 100, we're able to provide the same service in India at rupees 10. Now, apart from saving the cost, imagine the kind of time saving which is taking place there. The point I'm driving home is very simple. If universities are undertaking quality research, industry funding is forthcoming. We recently got a project funded yesterday we got 40 lakhs, day for yesterday we got 20 lakhs, and about 15 days ago we got 2.5 crores worth of funding to to undertake R&D in some of the specific areas for a particular industry. And what happens is that a lot of issues need to be resolved. Once you undertake the research, who has the inventor's right, who has the copyright, those things are getting sorted out now. And I find in last 2 3 years, this percentage of funding coming from industry is increasing. So I agree with you, because when the stakes are equally high, researchers, PhD scholars, and even master's level students who are part of these projects along with the faculty member, their learning is real. It's not only completing the process. So my answer lies in the fact that industry funding has to increase other than CSR funding, where the seriousness comes in, and researchers are serious in terms of innovations. Because also, this third point I'll mention is that research activities in universities are not outcome based. In the name of academic autonomy, we refuse to accept outcomes binding kind of thing. Researchers want to think freely. But then industries are profitable ventures. They would not like to come to you and fund you unless you promise them some kind. They don't mind failures, but some kind of trust system has to be developed where you commit to deliver them the outcomes. With NEP, outcome based education being emphasized at all levels, including masters and research level, things are changing. And industry are looking at universities as a potential partner to undertake R&D on their behalf. You would know that recently the guidelines have also facilitated universities can set up industry research cell, and industry on the other side can set up university research cell, and both interact on certain set agenda. The environment is changing. And the fourth initiative which UGC has taken is the professor of practice. The professor of practice will give a boost to research, which is more industry oriented than pure academic research. So one sentence which is there in NEP says that we need to take research to innovation and practice or entrepreneurship. This one recommendation had changed the whole outlook. I'm reminded of Dr. R.A. Mashelkar, who once said, he said, research converts data and information into knowledge and consumes resources. It only consumes resources, and resources always in shortage. He says we will always be short of resources until we can convert this knowledge back into money. And this conversion of knowledge back into money process requires innovation. Innovation on application of research output to solve real life problems of the industry, society, and the community, which is now on the increase. Thanks to the schemes of the government, the emphasis area of NEP, that universities are seriously looking at innovation as a mainstream activity rather than an activity on periphery. So, for example, number of patents filed and published doesn't mean anything unless they are granted and commercialized. So, to give you an account of my university, in 2020, we had only about 20 plus patents which have been published. Today, we stand at more than 1,000. About 60 have been granted, and now the number of granted patents will increase. And 3 to 4 patents have already been commercialized. We have startup up and running. Now, in such a short span, if you can do this, of course, you require incubation centers, you require entrepreneurship activity integrated into the teaching learning process. You create a whole new ecosystem which breeds innovation. So I think once this thing happens, industry will develop that mutual trust with the academia, and increased funding activities where both parties have equal stakes will increase, and the real learning of the students will take place.
Yes, great. And what you explained, two very basic things are required there. And maybe from your university perspective experience, you can brief us. One, when you are saying that research has to be outcome oriented, definitely the industry based outcome oriented. One, the quality of infrastructure itself at the university. And I mean, say, like even today, even very basic something like the quality of connectivity is not uniform. Forget, and then other infrastructure. When you are talking about, you initially mentioned you're working on dual cloud. So that sort of infrastructure, how do you ensure that there is the standardization and uniformity in that quality of infrastructure. That is one. And the second part obviously remain, again, you gave certain examples of these professors who are involved in research. How are they updated with because the industry, especially regarding technologies, the obsolescence happens very fast. So it's very fast moving. So not just the curriculum, even the faculty first. How do ensure that they keep pace with that training, not just for the teachers, but even for the guides in the R&D programs that you are undertaking.
Uh, Two, three challenges I'll mention in this on this front. One, of course, having the infrastructure per se. Earlier, we needed physical infrastructure, which we continue to need. If somebody says that you will not need buildings, I may not agree with this. You need buildings and you need smart buildings now. So the commitment of resources from university side has gone up because it has been proven during the COVID that face-to-face education cannot be completely substituted, but yes, it can be partly substituted. And that part substitution will reduce some kind of load on infrastructure. So expansion can be taken care of with the current level of infrastructure. But then, as I said, it needs high-tech labs which can facilitate learning. For example, if when we're talking about metaverse kind of concepts, it is taking us a step beyond World Wide Web. From two-dimensional information part, we are taking three-dimensional kind of learning environment. This will require huge investment in R&D and maintenance of this infrastructure and upgradation of this infrastructure. So one is the investment required in smart infrastructure from the university side. Second, as you rightly pointed out, is the challenge of training the faculty members. Main kind of hurdle is the mindset change. Because till now, in the traditional way of teaching learning, we've been teaching what professor thought is right. We were not attuned to what the industry needs. So outcome based education basically is not something which is very new. I often say that we've been teaching students, we have been developing skills, they've been getting jobs, they've been very successful. But answering the question of my colleagues in the university when they say, have you not been doing it right for so many decades? So what is new about it? So when I say that everything has been happening, students are successful, they're getting jobs, highly paid jobs, but we do not know why they're getting jobs. So the whole process of outcome-based education is making the system intentional rather than leaving it to be incidental. There we came to know at the end of the program what our students are capable of doing this. Outcome-based education says right on day one when you start a program, you should know where they will reach. It is more intentional approach than incidental approach. And therefore, this mindset change of the faculty and training them is going to take a huge toll on the university's time and resources, and of course, availability of proper trainers. We can source partly from the industry, but some we need in-house. Every university seems to be now investing towards this, wherein they have in-house training establishment. Our university is no exception. But I think the third and the biggest challenge is, which is taking toll on the time and efforts of the university, is this mindset change coupled with lack of integrating into the teaching learning process skill based kind of orientation or industry orientation of teaching learning. I may plan on paper in certain design we talked about, but what happens on ground is far away from this. So, for example, if a real life project can be part of my teaching learning, I achieve the higher level learning outcomes, which has not been there in the past. I can give students the opportunity of learning while they earning while they learn, and therefore reduce burden on the payment made by the parents. This we realized during the COVID, where there was a heavy pressure on the paying capacity of the parents and the families, and everybody suffered. We want to protect against this, and the only way is where students can earn while they learn, and there are possibilities. We have developed a system which we have tested for last 2 years, and from 1st June we have launched it fully. I'm happy to inform you that already about 30 students have demonstrated successfully. They've recovered their entire semester fees. And you want to expand it on a large scale where every student has the opportunity, and you want more and more number of students doing this For us, it is a learning kind of activity than earning activity. Earning is just incidental. And once we integrate these kind of pedagogical or andragogical tools in teaching learning process, I believe that the professors will have to change the mindset. Because if you keep on training them offline and not make them work on it in daily teaching learning kind of process, it's not likely to succeed. So I think these three challenges could be overcome. One, by investing financially. Partly it can come from the industry partnerships, which I talked to you about earlier. Need not take the full burden on the university. Second, continuous training in-house as well as from the industry experts, including some online training certifications which are there, can be made mandatory for the faculty members as part of upgradation, and they could be given credits in their appraisal system. And third, of course, changing the way we teach and learn significantly. As you know, as we implement national education policy every day, we have some new guidelines coming in. You'll be surprised to know I assessed from July 2020 when NEP was announced till July this year. Uh, Last year, that is 2023, about 2 years' time, we received 882 communications from University Grants Commission, guiding us on regulations and what we can do and what should not be doing. So there's a very advanced and aggressive not only guidance but also handholding by regulatory bodies for the first time in the history of higher education, that universities are behind regulatory bodies, which is a very welcome step. And the beauty of this regulatory environment which is evolving is that they're not prescriptive. They say we want this, NEP wants you to take in the direction, these are the outcomes required, you decide how you want to achieve it. They've left it on to the professors and the universities, and everybody can devise their own differentiated method to reach the outcomes desired. And that is leaving us bogged down with all our ideas which we used to put forward. Now they say you please implement and show us the results. I think that's what the universities are struggling with. Many of them are taking the lead. Many of them are learning, trying to catch up with that, and many of them, which are laggards, we will see with passage of time how it happens. Very interesting thing in this context I would like to mention is that we have about 54,000 plus institutions of higher education in this country, including colleges and universities and institutes of eminence. At the end of a decade, when we implement NEP, anywhere between 20 to 25,000 will remain. This will be accompanied by a massive consolidation, restructuring, and vanishing of the smaller, inefficient institution from the landscape. It is both exciting as well as challenging. But I think the way the universities are now overcoming these three challenges I mentioned to you, I'm quite upbeat, and the future of higher education in India is very, very bright, according to me. And already you have seen in QS ranking this year, a large number of universities have made entry, and every year this entry is increasing. The day is not far when we will also find our universities moving up the pecking order and featuring in the top list of the universities.
Great, great to know that. So I'll just conclude with one last thing about when we talk about the industry relation. Okay, I understand, and you explained the labs part. They have to go beyond CSR. Overall, not just that. I'm talking about the relationship of the university with the industry. And the problem with the industry, most of the organizations is their marketing and everything is oriented, their entire go to market is oriented where education is looked as another vertical. They are targeting different verticals, so education is looked at another vertical.
Yes.
Now education has its own dynamics, and in many cases that cannot be the only factor. So how is your experience and sort of working with the industry in this respect, and how do you sort of meet those challenges?
See, I agree with you. You think of all the big names, they opened a vertical in terms of education vertical, which will help universities and institutions develop the skills of the students. But if you think deeply in last 10 to 15 years, look back, how many of them have been successful? I can't think of any. They grew thanks to COVID, but they fell. They fell apart. I think the only model which, according to me, will succeed, that these companies, whether they are operating as a vertical or only full-fledged companies in a tech space, they cannot help us much unless they operate out of the campuses. So one, EdTech companies need to be incubated on campuses. They need to work with the professors and students 24 by 7. And second model could be that these companies have to become partners in delivery of education. They have to hold stakes. They cannot only be designing the whole content like a call option, and the loss side is negligible and upward gains are unlimited. That model will not work anymore. If you have gains equally shared, risks also need to be equally shared, and that can only happen when there's a equal partnership where industry and universities run programs jointly with clearly defined outcomes. I told you about Miles Education is existing on the campus. The company's office is on the campus. We don't have to go somewhere else. Otherwise, my students will not be able to reach there. We are about 40 kilometers away from the city. We are now in advanced stages collaborating with another Fortune 500 company, which will have its office on the campus and work with us on daily basis, 24 by 7, their instructors and professors remaining with us. Only then we can expect, in true sense, industry partnerships fructifying. Only maintaining arm's length distance and just looking at profit orientation will not work. The second challenge, which shows me some kind of silver lining, is that as universities are concerned about upgrading the skills of the students, industries are equally struggling to find the right kind of talent based on their needs. And they're puzzled where to go and where to find these people. Even leading institutions are struggling with the same problems. And therefore, they're more seriously looking at partnership where they not look at as a profit venture, but real partnership where the students can be developed into what they require as final products. So I think this change is making industry to come closer to us. You must have heard about faculty mentoring. Now they're saying we'll go beyond this. They call it sponsoring. There are experts from the industry. They will work with the students continuously, 4 to 5 students, and they say we not only mentor them and upgrade their skills and advise them, they can carry our name that who has sponsored me. So, they have a stake in the CV of the students, which is a very welcome development where students will be working with these industry experts, very senior level people from beginning of the program till the end. And they help them secure job. They give them references and they permit them to write in this CV that so-and-so has been sponsoring me. Now, these are not common kind of developments, not ordinary developments. It is completely a changed interaction with the industry, which I have never seen in my 30 years of career. I think the industry and academia are coming closer, which is very, very welcome change.
Great. Thanks a lot for your time. And that was very exhaustive for the viewers also. And I'm sure they got a lot of clarifications here. Thank you for your time. And
Thank you so
have
much
a
for
good day.
having me, Rajat ji. Thank you so much. It's always a
Thank
pleasure
you.
talking to you. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Namaskar.
Thank you.